the integration's been great from I think certainly from a sales and marketing side on the Luxco end of it, because really not a whole lot has changed. We actually brought on, obviously have now in the branded side of the portfolio, now have some wonderful Indiana, ryes and whiskeys that are part of the portfolio. So that makes it a lot better.
I know. I mean, look, MGP, has been a steady performer and a leader right in distilling for many years. I think the Luxco acquisition just helps, propel MGP into the branded space. I'm the one who started the brands division, where our focus was very high margin, best of our distillation. And I think the Luxco purchase certainly elevates MGP as a branded, company, likes of, Jim Beam, a Brown-Forman, a Constellation, a Deutsch.
Sure.
I've been watching you guys for a number of years, and I noticed, the class action issue that was taking place a year or so ago, and I'm looking at your market cap now and your multiple of EBITDA. How much of that EBITDA is attributed to the grain business? Do you know?
I don't actually, because I'm on the branded side and I'm the Luxco guy, so I'm not an MGP. Right. I wasn't a previous MGP guy, so you're asking. I'll say this. I kind of know that from a size perspective, at least in terms of sales, on the branded side, the Luxco piece was, about 75% of the at least on a revenue generation side, kind of like the size of what some of the bulk ingredient side was, is my understanding. Now have some wonderful Indian, and there was a curfew. I want to say that I think things were shutting down before midnight or so, but like everybody was out and about, and certainly restaurants and so forth. There is a mask mandate from that's there in terms of having to go inside. Anything inside has to be masked up. But, out and about, and definitely, I will say people were. It seemed fairly normal.
To Stephen, we have launched a whiskey, so it's a whiskey again we haven't distilled ourselves. It's called the Bridge, and it's a series of single cask releases. And the idea being, it's a bridge to the point where our own whiskey is ready. But just 1 second there. So this is the here, okay? The Bridge, right?
I've actually had one of your Bridge releases.
Oh, have you? Very good.
Yeah, at the Dingle Bar in there in Dublin.
Very good, very good. I hope you enjoyed it.
I don't remember.
Right.
Andrea Miller. I'm based down in Atlanta, Georgia. Cover several different states as a brand consultant. Actually created and ran the craft spirits division for RNDC down here right out of college. Not using my mechanical engineering degree, which is something my mom's not too happy about, but I love what I do. So I like to help the little guys get up and running. I actually fell in love with Stephen Gould's gin about 1 million years ago, and it kind of just catapulted me into this idea that I wanted to help, smaller distilleries get a little more exposure in the market, and it just kind of took itself off from there.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful gin.
Thank you.
One of the things that you guys kind of mentioned, or that we just spoke about, was, this idea that there's this massive supply chain issue when it comes to, aged whiskeys. We're running into the exact same issue right now with our tequila. I was just down in Guadalajara and just watching all of these different brands struggling to find well-aged product is kind of a nightmare at the moment. And we're only going to continue to see that expand into the future. And what we were paying $30 for a 4-year-old extra añejo tequila, at this moment we're now paying $60 a bottle, and that doesn't include now everything. I mean, we were $30 all in for packaging, label, and everything, and now we're just $60 at the juice. So
set a name for themselves on any whiskey that's between 8 and 12 years old is in trouble kind of now, because there isn't any whiskey to replace it. So I have, some clients that have been changing their strategy, either selling off the brands that they built on older whiskey, or trying to people are trying to come in and saying they're selling off of batches now, so when this batch is gone, it'll be some other batch. And, we'll see what the future holds for those sorts of brands that have been moving along with that type of strategy here in the next few years. It'll be interesting to see how that happens.
Yes, piece of this. We have a secondary brand called Gunfighter, and one of our products in Gunfighter is Gunfighter 13, and we're managing that by doing individual cast releases. And when they're gone, they're gone. I mean, I had a lot of that inventory sitting around. I actually did some consulting for some folks and got paid in casks, which is a nice way to get paid. And but once that's gone, I greatly doubt I'll have anything else in a 13, 14, 15-year-old. It's not really our core business. But the way we've been managing it is everything's an individual cask release. There's only X number of bottles per cask, and when it's gone, it's done.
A nightmare at the moment, and we're only going to continue to see that expand into the future. And what we were paying $30 for a 4-year-old extra añejo tequila, at this moment we're now paying $60 a bottle, and that doesn't include now everything. I mean, we were $30 all in for packaging, label, and everything, and now we're just $60 at the juice. So it's become insanely stressful. And it's something that's like we're going to continue to fight with moving forward. So yeah. I appreciated that conversation very much.
A comment on that, Andrea. I'm pretty good friends with a number of the producers down in Tequila, and their constant frustration is the demand is growing so fast that getting quality blue agave they're paying 2, 3, 4 times what they were 3 years ago for plants that are younger and nowhere near the quality. And everywhere you go, people are planting and planting and planting. And in 2, 3, 4 years, there hopefully will be a surplus of blue agave, but there's not currently. And let's face it, it all starts at the raw material.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it doesn't matter whether it's bourbon, tequila. Long term, you have to figure out, if you're a brand getting started, you have to have some sort of sustainability program. And if you like I say, the people that are trying to do it by batch, I don't know how they can sustain that long term, because as you buy each batch, your price goes up, and then you have to raise your price at the shelf to be able to make any money. And if you're not making any money, you're not in business for very long. And so that's where, tequila is the same way. Bourbon, any brown good that has to age, even some of the rums that are, rum people are kind of moving along and going into aged rums and finish aged rums, and they're going to run into that issue too. So you have to have sort of a plan built, and a longevity plan. You have to know your costs and build in your pricing structure before you go into, like at a retailer. A lot of people are saying, oh, I'm just going to go direct to consumer. That's all great. Depends on what state you're in. And then in some states you can't do that. And if you set yourself with your price point at your direct to consumer margins, and then you try to go into other states, your prices are going to be, significantly higher in other states. And then you're going to be not consistent nationally, and it'll throw off consumers. So it's going to be, like I say, it's the next couple of years, I think, are going to be extremely telling for some of the smaller brands that are out there, and whether they're going to make it.
It's a huge opportunity. I think it's never been, our industry has never been more exciting. Well, I've only been in it 15 years. In the last 15 years, and there's a lot of excitement, I think that the opportunity for the players who are really going to be forward are going to make a significant difference in craft. And I love that opportunity that the little guy can really accelerate. So with all these challenges come opportunities. And I think that the advantage of all the changes with direct to consumer, that yes, all the supply and the value of these products, whether they're 2,000 a barrel, 3,000 a barrel, 4,000 a barrel, for me, when I look at the technology and how do you get it to the consumer, if you're on top of where the consumer is getting their information and how their shopping trends are and how their needs and everything that COVID has driven that changes their whole mentality, that's where the play is for me, whether it's in home delivery or subscription boxes or getting these guys engaged and committed to being part of building their entire network. Like they're all in, they're committed, and they're supporting the small guy because most of them are also going through the.
So we've done some investments in the fund, and also some investments personally, so continue to like to hear of opportunities that are out there and stay on top of certain trends.
And I know that Paula, who's joining us, has lots to talk about because she and I have been.
We made history today. Every time I talk to you, hopefully I'm saying we made history today. But if anybody's read the release about our NFTs that we're using to launch our first of a kinds, like the first barrel of bourbon ever made in South Carolina, which is our 7-year-old bourbon, and our first rye whiskey, which is a 6-year-old product. So we do all bottled and bond releases, but now we've attached them all to NFTs. And then we launched a contest looking for NFT artists that we could share their stories to, so that we are sharing the NFT, the story, the experience, and then the opportunity to participate in our releases of 5-year-old bourbon all the way up to 11-year-old bourbon. And with the NFT or the token or the voucher, they get the opportunity to stay in the long run by owning a 5-year-old, and they now can own a 6-year-old and a 7 and an 8 and 9, 10, all the way up to an 11-year-old product. So it's kind of exciting, different things. But we got our first NFT artist today. So
control their own destiny. I don't know, Will, have you, from an investor standpoint, have you been looking at any things like that?
There's a couple of companies we're involved with that are doing something to that effect. There's a company that has collectibles that is doing a element of both physical with a digital aspect that can be traded. So.
Yeah, Michael, you and I have talked on occasion about platforms and what can be done. I'm working with 2 different software companies, actually 3, in shortlisting a group that would be able to bring to fruition exactly what you and I might be imagining, and it's far more real than people realize. It is extremely complicated, of course. I don't shy away from complicated things, and none of you guys do either. You wouldn't be in the business that you're in. But Michael, I don't know exactly how specific one's interested. You kind of laid it out nicely. We're looking at
I think that's we're on a parallel trajectory to find the right structured solution for it. And it's what Paula's talking about is a different, because we went through this and saying, do we need to tokenize to authenticate what's in the barrels? And the answer really is that's not so much the pain point. It's on an Excel spreadsheet and it's got a TTB, lot number, whatever. But from a trading standpoint, the ability to have those assets be tradable on a trading platform that the individual investor gets to control the timing based on their needs. If they need to liquidate, great. If they don't. But right. They're not beholden to when we determine that it's time to sell these 500 barrels because they're 4 years old.
Interesting, because I did invite Andrea's on here, and I just met her a couple of days ago, and I thought she would really enjoy this. But it's interesting to me that I'm really the only one that's on the wine side in this whole screen. Everyone's talking about gin and vodka and bourbons and whiskeys and stuff.